Hello, everyone. This was a good week of chapters, despite not having Black Clover in it, but still overall a very good week, with Sakamoto Days surprising me the most. So we're going to start off with One Piece, chapter 1034, and this was a very good chapter, showing the continued growth of Sanji, where the bulk of the chapter is Sanji versus Queen, showing that Queen was more or less a anti-Germa foil, being able to learn all of their abilities and even copy all of them to a T. The problem is that Sanji is none of his Germa siblings, leaving it that Queen isn't quite a perfect match for him. It's also revealed that Queen has invisibility, just like when Sanji had the raid suit. And we learned that it was actually Queen that hit the geisha girl that thought Sanji hit her. With this revelation for us, as well as Sanji, he was able to get quick revenge for her at least, and his new upgrades have seemingly been able to give him a physical boost that now lets him fight toe-to-toe with more powerful beings. With all that being said, it's a good fight that's going on, especially given the fact that Queen was very much stronger than Sanji until Sanji realized what his new powers would entail, as well as the fact that he realized, I at least think, that he knows now that he wasn't the one to hit the girl, and so he isn't changing like he originally thought. He just got an upgrade without losing anything that made him him, which is a good sign. It's also shown that Momo seemingly was able to master his flame clouds enough to keep Onigashima floating, so it shouldn't drop on the flower capital unless it breaks apart, like I'm kind of assuming it's going to. So that was the chapter. Overall, I think I'll give this one a B. It was good, showing the fight and pseudo conclusion to Sanji's upgrades, seeing it that he just physically boosted to the level of his siblings, but mentally and within his heart, he is still the same Sanji, as he was not the one to hit the girl like he thought originally, and Queen is more dastardly than he was even previously. Now, where does this leave the rest of the battles? Probably still where they are, though I imagine with how these last two chapters have gone, that we'll keep getting these chapters of the other Straw Hats stepping up. Probably Usopp, Nami, Jinbei, Frankie, Robin, Brook, Chopper, all of them will probably have something of an upgrade or a big moment within the next few chapters, as everything's continuing to lead towards a grand finale, as both Sanji and Zoro have now upgraded, quote unquote, and even taken the advantage in their fights. So that was good, and Sanji's continuing to get good moments despite the thought that he wouldn't get any more this arc, so he's redeeming himself well, in my opinion. So now we're on to Undead Unluck, and this was a good chapter showing the uniqueness of Andy, showing that he can seemingly rally people to what he believes through demonstration and experience, showing that indirect attacks do in fact hit Spring. However, Rip doesn't immediately jump on the idea, at least in the way that everyone I think would have expected, as Rip thinks of another situation where the game quote-unquote issue goes away with Spring and they can just straight up attack Spring and beat it, and that's killing Fuko. But Andy takes it as just a motivational thing to attack Andy so that Andy can redirect the attacks at Spring. It's all very silly, but the rest of the crew seemingly go along with it, from the Under and the Union, except for Rip, who still believes that killing Fuko is the easiest method, but it seems as though it's not going to work out as well as he hoped. So they proceed to attack each other, mostly Andy getting attacked by everyone, to try to hurt Spring, seemingly to the point where it actually genuinely works, and by the end they're able to crack Spring's chest, and with a little bit more power, probably a few more hits, they'll be able to actually crack him open. So that was the chapter. It was a relatively quick chapter, and overall I think I'll give this one a B. It was good seeing Andy kind of rally everyone up and even to get everyone to work on his idea, and it seems to have worked, at least for now, as we'll see if they can get the crack and slashed hole in Spring's chest to open up further so that Fuko can get inside of Spring to play the final game with the core of Spring and win. Will this succeed or fail? I'm not sure. I would imagine so at this point, just because it looks like they're going to win and get the rewards of all of the defeats of the season's Umas, as this is the last one and they're not really on a super time limit at this point, as they're going to succeed, though I could imagine them failing because they run out of time, but that's rather unlikely, and I don't think this has a swerve in it, despite having several different swerves across the entirety of the story. So for now, we'll get to see more fighting between the different members of Under and the Union, and eventually them succeeding in defeating Spring, as Spring's downfall is all but assured, as it seemingly is working the indirect attacks on him. We'll see if God interferes again or not. Now we're on to Mashle, Magic and Muscles, chapter 88, and this was a good chapter, showing a lot more of Dot's resilience, being able to take a lot of damage from Rose Quartz and his partner between different magnet powers slamming Dot into walls, and the spiked ball that Rose Quartz likes to use, and Rose Quartz's partner using acid to make the wall of magnetism even worse to get slammed into. Dot is able to survive as long as he can, and is even willing to sacrifice himself for a third time to get the key from Rose Quartz to open the Void Box, all to the point of trying to save Mash, and even believe in Mash, to an added point of extreme duress, where Rose Quartz and the partner can't believe he's actually still going, leading to one last explosion, which allows him to grab the key and unlock Mash. With Mash's new arrival onto the scene, he shows his unbreakable power by destroying both Rose Quartz and his partner in one single punch. We'll see if Rose Quartz is actually down, or if the punch was just enough to knock quite a bit of energy from him. We'll have to see what's next week. So overall, I would give this chapter a B. It was good. It showed one of the side characters resolve in both Mash and just themselves, and Mash got to show off just how broken he is within this universe, showing that his strength is the real deal, being able to destroy Rose Quartz and the other mage in one fell swoop, with not much of a problem at all, not even breaking a sweat. Dot being able to survive as long as he did was impressive on his end, though I was surprised that Lance didn't show up at all to try to help him. I think it was a strong way to have Mash return and really let his presence be felt. Now, I imagine things aren't going well for the others, though I'm not quite sure. I wouldn't be too surprised if they all showed up to where Mash is now, having won their battles, and the only mage left is Mash's quote-unquote brother. We'll have to see if that holds up or not. But for now, Mash has the upper hand against Rose Quartz, and he will probably beat him within an inch of his life next chapter. So now we're on to Sakamoto Days, chapter 50, and this was a shocking chapter, to say the least. It was great seeing that a part might be joining Sakamoto's group of misfits. Having it that Sakamoto brought him to the healer that Sakamoto left Lo and Shin. They tell a part that they just want to talk with him and find out information about Slur X, the major villain of this series. A part is put on edge by this immediately, however, with Hazaki being more or less his dopey, friendly self, and Lo not really taking the whole thing any more than what a normal day would be, seemingly allow him to relax a little bit, and a part tends to loosen up, and even finds that he might enjoy this group if he just relaxes, because they treat him like a normal person instead of the serial killing murderer that he is. So I think it would be rather fun to have a part now be a part of, double thing. But I think it would be a good thing to have a part be with Sakamoto instead of with Slur, just because I think that's a sort of interesting dynamic, because now you'll have the two ex-assassins and Sakamoto and Shin, the current assassin of Hisaki and the ex-criminal syndicate leader's daughter, in Low, and then now an ex-serial killer, all working for Sakamoto's small grocery store, or small little mom and pop gas station store, whatever it is. I think that would be pretty funny and really entertaining to have that happen if a part actually stays in the crew for quite a while, as a part tells what he has learned by eavesdropping on Deerhead and learning that Slur had planned to draw out all of the major assassins from the HQ to draw them away so that something could happen to the base, which is exactly what happens as Slur makes his way to the JAA Tokyo Bureau building to seemingly destroy it. We get to see Slur and one of his partners show off their abilities right away as they take out one of the security guards guarding the JAA building, showing just how powerful they are and that Slur and his partner aren't quite normal. And I'm not even meaning in the sense of them being superhuman killing machines. I mean just the fact that they're taking this invading the JAA as if it's the first day of school after a vacation, and that they're all jittery with excitement and they're nervous and all sorts of things. It's almost unnerving how sort of realistic that would be to have all of that make sense, and you understand that feeling, only to realize that he's going to go into a building of trained assassins and kill all of them without breaking so much as a sweat. And the bigger thing is, we're going to see probably Sakamoto lose, as Sakamoto plans on going to the JAA to see if anything happens. When he arrives there, I'm assuming with a part and the few others, they'll see that it's already been destroyed. I imagine he'd probably call the other assassins, the other super assassins, to try to help out, perhaps, or perhaps he goes alone and loses, is what I'm assuming is going to happen, where then things sort of speed up quite a bit from here, as now the JAA and basically everyone else is now hunting Slur like crazy. So that was the chapter. I think it was a great chapter, and so overall I think I'm going to give it an A, just because it was something, the ending was very shocking to me, with having Slur make his move in the midst of what's going on. I think it's a good move to have the villain show up here and possibly defeat the hero and lead to the continued climb of the hero back to where he once was, as now with certain things of his old world being destroyed as well as his new world being under threat, Sakamoto's probably going to have to quote unquote train and gear back up for a coming attack on everything he has and wants to continue to hold dear. So it'll be very interesting to see how this next few chapters are going to shape out, if Slur is as formidable as he's been portrayed up until this point. But for now, all we know is that next week should at least be a very interesting showdown between Slur and Sakamoto. So that was all of the major chapters. They were all good, like I said, with Sakamoto shocking me with its ending. One Piece, Mashle, and Undead Unluck showed that their villains were starting to fall, where Sakamoto just began to show their villain rise. So it'll be interesting to see which villains last longer of the three that are failing and falling apart, and to see how far or how high Sakamoto's villain can get before his inevitable fall. So for the other chapters, I'll start with My Hero. It was fine. I jumped to the conclusion last week. The traitor was different. It ended up being Aoyama. Sorry if it's a spoiler if you had not read My Hero, but it's Aoyama. For me, the problem was it just wasn't satisfying, despite it being something I think everyone has been able to call for a while. It just feels like it doesn't matter. It's clearly not for me. And I'm pretty much done reading it with this reveal, just because I felt it was done so poorly. It was fine. If you enjoyed it, you would enjoy it, and that's about all I can say about it. Jujutsu Kaisen was good, continuing its culling game with all of its heroes and villains manipulating and attempting to win over as many people as they can, and trying to get and survive long enough to take down the major villain. For now, there's still much of the game to be played, so we're still in its early stages. Yazakura Family was another nice bonding chapter with Kengo struggling over his beauty. He got a zit and is now panicking. That was basically the bulk of the chapter, and we got some more bonding between everyone, especially Futaba and Kengo, and so it was just another nice chapter. We had the elusive samurai, which continues its stellar kind of quote-unquote war arc for now, with the annoying governor being taken down, but another villain returning, the bandit king who has like the ant armor, returning to make things even worse for our heroes. Will they win or lose? I genuinely don't know how this series wants to put it. I'm assuming win. That's pretty much the answer for all of these, but it's nice to try to speculate, maybe try to get something a little different going. Blue Box was fine. That's about all I can say about it. It was fine. P times 6 was good. The main character, was able to grant the wish of his brother and thus seemingly take out one of the P's in the great seven-tuplet pianist family. And so it's only a matter of time before he can do that with the others. So it's a very fun manga, like I've said. I wonder what the next couple of chapters are going to be like. If it continues on, which I'm hoping it does, so I'm going to assume it is. I wonder how they're going to keep the training going, as Lucky is still very much a novice when it comes to the piano, despite being raised with it. So it'll be interesting to see how he learns and continues to grow from here. And Ashimon was good. It continued to have its main character be both goofy and main character like, kind of like Luffy in a sense, as well as its main heroine be very conniving and ready to do whatever it takes to get whatever she desires. And so the fighting is still great, the story is still great so far, as it's starting out nice and slow. I'm hoping this one goes for quite some time. So that's all the chapters. They were all great, they were all good, they all did different things well, and I look forward to whatever the hell happens in the future with most of these series. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and as always, thank you for watching.